Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, so I skipped a deity going down my list, Akadi, the elemental deity of air. Since I covered the other elemental gods, and it was time for the Kossuth video, I decided to add Akadi, so this episode will be full of elemental goodness. Enjoy. Kossuth, also known as the Lord of Flames, reigns over the elemental plane of fire. Like the other elemental lords, he is uncaring with the doings of mortals on Faerun. This includes his worshippers, which he seems to have an indifference about. However, those that worship Kossuth are still granted spells. Kossuth seems to reward his followers more frequently for their attention than his elemental counterparts. His portfolio includes fire and purification through fire. He is also known as the Fire Lord. He represents the burning away of the old to make way for the new. He is the fire in the hearth, which appears comforting but may turn on its owner at any time, burning the house down. Kossuth seems driven to acquire more followers on Faerun, perhaps because they can get burnt out so easily. Pun intended. He readily accepts burnt offerings in his name, rewarding his faithful with protection from heat and flames and the ability to use fire to its greatest benefit. The elemental lords are unique in that they did not walk Faerun during the time of troubles. This has been explained in 4th edition lore as they are not gods but primordials. However, older editions of D&D has them being elemental deities. Kossuth has appeared on Faerun through summoning rituals, and has been summoned to the realms a few times. In negative 150 DR, powerful wizards managed to summon Kossuth from his elemental home, instructing him to destroy a nearby city, which he did, and then turned against the wizards, destroying them and their city. It is said that the fires of Kossuth burned for 10 years before subsiding. To his faithful, any significant blaze is viewed as a manifestation of the Fire Lord himself. Kossuth is neutral, and his followers can be of any alignment. This has divided the church up into separate sects, reflecting their good, lawful, or evil status. Of all the elemental cults or churches, Kossuth's is probably the most dangerous and unpredictable. Individual churches of Kossuth are led by powerful leaders with a rigid priest hierarchy beneath them, but no ultimate authority other than Kossuth to report to. And Kossuth doesn't much care for the matters of mortals. His priests and members are quick to resort to violence. The justice of a Kossuthian is harsh, quick, and brutal. It is suited to fit the crime. The priests or clerics of Kossuth are organized into two factions, the Tendrils of Flame and the Burning Braziers. The Tendrils operate in various temples across Faerun, preaching the ideas of Kossuth, looking for new followers. The Burning Braziers, also known as the Brazier Brigade, are the adventuring arm of Kossuth. They wander the country, venturing into areas that might not have heard the wisdom of Kossuth. However, they often leave burning buildings in their wake. Kossuth's priests are organized into temples, and each temple is led by an eternal flame, who is a specialty priest. Kossuth is a very popular deity in Zakara and Thay. His monkish orders are divided up by good, evil, and neutral as well. Disciples of the Phoenix are from the good branch, disciples of the Salamander are from the evil branch. The neutral branch is known as the brothers and sisters of the purifying flame. They often act as a go-between for the other two monasteries. Kossuth detests Istishia, and the two churches hate one another. The faith of Kossuth revolves around the belief that faith in Kossuth is innately superior to other faiths. The driving force of the Kossuthian church is ambition, and the reward for that ambition is power. Kind of reminds me of Lolth and Drow society, but maybe with a more lawful spin on it. There are stoked fires all over the temples, and often there are rites of passage involving walking over hot coals. He's a fairly destructive deity overall, but his faithful believe it is the fire that burns away your impurities, leaving you whole. Up next is Akadi, Queen of Air, the Lady of Air and the Lady of the Winds. Akadi is the elemental goddess of air. She is another neutral deity, cold and uncaring of her worshippers. She most often displays affection to her followers after they make a large offering, by burning precious incense that wafts into the winds. Akadi can be felt in every breeze, she's a part of every windstorm, and her wrath can be felt in tornadoes she sends to Faerun. Akadi's followers can be of any alignment, except not many are seen as lawful. The chaotic nature of the winds tends to attract followers of that alignment. Few priests of Akadi settle down in one place. They blow into a town on the morning breeze and are typically gone by sunset. This can be a blessing, as an evil-aligned cleric of Akadi could bring about destruction to a small town. A philosophy of incessant movement and wanderlust has ingrained itself into the Church of Akadi. Few temples exist to the Lady of the Winds, and those that do are open areas, circles of wooden poles adorned with feathers and streamers that flutter in the breeze. To her followers, Akadi is freedom, and that notion of freedom is what is most often preached to those who listen. Akadi's churches are mostly small cliques of people who follow Akadi in a similar fashion. The teachings of Akadi are about finding one's own enlightenment. The faithful are instructed to follow their heart, moving from activity to activity, from place to place, pursuing personal dreams or a series of interests. Through this process, you will grow and change. The only stance that the Akadi Church takes a firm measure on is that a priest should never be imprisoned. Becoming stagnant leads to death. Day-to-day activities of Akadi's faithful include listening to the wind, speaking to others about how amazing Akadi is, and pursuing personal interests. Akadi's church feels like the best hippie commune you will ever find. There is one major center of worship, despite few permanent temples to Akadi. The first shrine to the Queen of Air is now in ruins, but is still a sacred place to the followers of Akadi. It is located in the Shar and is known as the ruins of Blask Altar. The structure is long gone through ages of neglect, but Akadi's faithful swarm to the location yearly to remember the history of their church and commune with other members. And that's it for the 2 elemental lords. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. There are new lore videos every Wednesday, and we're slowly getting through these deities of the Forgotten Realms. I will see you all in the next video.